Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Zero Gaming here, and today we're going to look at the new 2 Final Fantasy X characters. Before we get into the details, if you like my content today, do consider subscribing to my channel and like the video. It does help the channel, and if you want to further support my channel, there's a join button down there where you can join my membership to further enjoy some additional perks and benefits. Anyway, moving on, we'll be starting off with Jecht. Jecht doesn't get a lot of upgrades. He gets a little bit more on the damage department. He has more HP dumps right now. It's not exactly a surprise though, because he gets his he gets his BT plus with a very decent upgrade. So right now they only enhance a little bit on his EX and his LD, getting that free re-breaks, as well as another free skill on his EX, so he doesn't have to enter BT phase with his free skill on his LD. So that part is a plus, I guess. Aside from those, Jecht, the only thing that Jecht offers is a little bit of utility in the rebreak department, and of course the turn hogging, as well as a little bit more damage overall. However, this part itself doesn't really make him too reliable in Shinyu. You see, Shinyu is a little bit different. If your name is not Tidus, even if you're Tidus' dad, it doesn't help with you turn hogs all the the force time, especially when Jecht has an element of his own. So Jecht basically has a fire elemental tied to his attack, which means that for a turn hogger to actually be really decent in the FR era, you have to have at least a condition which adds up a lot to the damage overall. So the problem with Jecht is he has a fire elemental tied to his kit, so the early FR that has a very good condition for him is actually Camelot, but the fact that he has fire elemental and there's no true ice enchant at the moment, so Jecht suffer a little bit by not being able to fully utilize Cam's upgrade. So that part really suffers him as a turn hogger. That's why Tidus actually out damage him, not just because he got his FR later, but also because the fact that no elemental means that he can fully abuse Cam's FR effect. Anyway, personally for Jecht, I won't recommend too much unless he's a favorite. He's okay-ish, decent, I guess. Not really a damage dealer you want to go for at this stage of the game, but nonetheless, his re-break and his extra upgrade here, it does makes him a little bit more relevant in this era, especially with the FR that will be featured along him in this banner. So moving on from there, we'll be talking about the new unit that we'll be looking at, which is Braska. So Braska came along with Jecht, and basically Braska's skill 1 focuses on battery and healing the entire party. Naturally, this skill is an instant turn, so Braska can just spam this skill to heal the entire party and battery the party, as well as, of course, being a supercharger for his own FR or being a FR battery. So a lot of usage here. And his skill 2, it's just some extra damage, some filler attack I guess, but decent damage overall because 3 AoE split HP attack. Both of this skill provide the same buff, which increase the party by 30%. Party attack and 30% party max bravery up. So one of his kit that comes along with his EX is he has an overdrive overhead buff. The overdrive buff actually increases every time Braska takes a turn. So basically the overhead drive, when it's at 5 stacks, it will increase the damage of his EX and LD. So you have to either use one of them to enjoy that big damage, but otherwise it expires immediately after you use that particular skill itself, so it will reset back to 1. Also do note that at the overdrive at 5, his EX is instant refill, so he can use his EX even though he used his EX prior to that skill or prior to that overdrive. That is an extra plus for his longevity, I guess, because his EX, every time he uses his EX, he actually gets a free turn on the next skill. A free skill on the next turn. So by using his EX, he can actually use that free skill on his Kuraga, which is his skill 1, to perform that FR battery. So that's one of the reasons why Braska is actually more popular for a FR battery or a supercharger as compared to Krau, only because he has more longevity in his skill 1. he does have extra skill usage from that EX with the free skill, and his EX actually recharge relatively fast. So that itself makes Braska a little bit more reliable than Crow for his FR battery longevity. But of course, his FR, which I'll be going into right now, which is a little bit sad though, because to be honest, Braska FR is really lacking. If you look at his condition right here, his FR actually features two condition, one at which the party has to deal fire elemental damage on turn, which means off turn is not included, and the second being Braska having to need 100% HP after his own turn. So basically the second condition is almost like a supercharger related condition where he used his Kuraga to actually boost up the condition itself. But because of the fact that his condition, the first condition of his FR couldn't be fulfilled if you deal the damage off turn, so Braska cannot actually rely on units like Size or units like Kane to increase his condition while he performs that supercharger himself. So that is really sad if you converted the idea of using him as a supercharger, because he actually has one of the highest HP damage bonus up if you consider on his supercharging capability alone. But because of the fact that he lacks additional condition to fulfill while he supercharged the FR HP damage bonus up, that makes him a little less inferior than Crow in my opinion when performing the supercharging procedure. And again, the worst part about him is he doesn't, as a support unit, he's a support unit that actually deals decent damage, but as a support unit that requires fire elemental to tie to his FR condition, he actually doesn't enchant the entire party with fire elemental damage. So this means that to fulfill his first condition, you actually have to have either a fire party enchanter like Lulu, LD and her base call itself would work, or even Ignis LD call. Although do note that Lulu's LD call, the best part about it is it's a true enchant on the fire elemental part, which means that even if the attack of your party member is tied to another elemental, it still will do the fire elemental damage and thus of course increase the FR condition. So Lulu's is the reason why people actually hype up Lulu's LD previously. Is also one of the reason is she can easily fulfill Braska's condition. But then again, to rely on a call to actually have to fulfill your condition is not the best for a supportive unit. Although I could say the same for Cam, but the fact that the differences in their HP damage bonus up is so huge, it just makes Braska a little bit less reliable in that situation. Of course, you can rely on, if you don't want to rely on Lulu's LD call or even her LD in the party or even any fire party enchant, you can just bring units that deal fire elemental damage themselves. Units like Jecht, Alice, Vivi, and a lot more. Even Papalymo. So these are some of the units that actually fulfills Braska condition, but some of the bad things about this is they are not very widely popular at this current stage of the game, except Prish, I guess, and Vincent. Yeah, Vincent, of course, I almost forget about him. And of course, Van can also perform that fire attack, although that elemental is tied to just one specific skill, which is his skill 1 if I recall correctly, which is again not the best skill if you're going for a multiple enemy stage. So yeah, I think Braska is a little bit limited in that sense, especially if you don't have Lulu's call. You can't even bring units like Garnet to perform what you want to perform, because Garnet has elemental tied to her kit if you don't have Lulu's call or Lulu's LD ability. Anyway, still the best part about Braska is having to supercharge his own HP damage bonus up to maximize that percentage. But overall, I would say that Braska is definitely not the best FR to go for. Anyway, I may be wrong, he still does a very good, decent amount of damage as a supportive unit, and he does have decent heals and batteries to the entire party. He's more reliable as a support in the sense than Crowd, in the sense that he can heal the party, and that itself helps with his second condition too. But like I said, Braska still needs a little bit more to me, in my opinion, to actually be more reliable as a unit to bring with, to justify him to bring into the party itself. That is my opinion anyway, especially this close, especially his kit coming this close to Cam's FR. So again, Cam is a very unfair comparison to make regardless, because he does not only shut off Braska's FR, he shut off basically everyone's earlier than him, and a little bit early. I mean, even if you came a little bit later than him, he also shuts them off completely because of how bonker his FR is. But I'll be talking about that in a later video. So for now, Braska, in my opinion, is not really the best unit to go for. He does a little bit of everything as a supportive unit, but he lacks a little bit utility to make him more noticeable, a little bit unique ability, I would say, to make him a little bit more usable in the party. Funny enough, he have overdrive here, and yet in the original game, he's not part of your party member, so overdrive is not exactly what we expect to see from him. So I guess that's a very nice touch to know that even though he's not the member in your party, he does have that overdrive with him as well. And his overdrive is, of course, summoning Jecht with his LD and EX, which is a very nice animation, no doubt about that. Though I don't really enjoy his FR animation with Amy Battalion, since it just looks a little bit weird for me. But regardless, Braska overall, if you're looking for team composition to go with him, he's still the better one for Lulu, because he doesn't enchant the entire units with Fire Elemental, but he himself does Fire Elemental, and he has that Fire Imperil. So it does help if you bring Lulu with him, even as a call, so that your entire party can hit weakness. But of course, being a supportive unit that can actually charge the FR and of course heal and batteries the entire party as the basic, he does perform really well with most units, since he does a little bit of everything. Alright, so personally on this banner, I just think that it's not too attractive overall, since if you consider Braska as a supercharger type of FR, then I'll consider Crow even better in that sense. And if you consider Braska to be the Distraught, say, auxiliary type of FR. I'm sorry, I can't speak English right now. Anyway, auxiliary type of FR, which is similar to Cam, which was released right after him. So he's a little bit sandwiched in between his FR, where you don't know which particular path you want to go for, and there is just better FR in whichever path you go for, just sandwiched between him. So that itself makes his FR a little bit less desirable for me. But regardless, since I have two accounts, the benefit of having alts and all, I will be going for him in my alternate account alongside with Kane's FR, although I don't know which FR I will be going for. If I'm going to abuse my off turn, then I'm going to go for Kane. If I'm going to use as a on turn shenanigan, then I'm going for him, since I have Lulu Cole in that particular account. So I guess that's fine. But what about you guys? Are you guys going for this particular dead unit? I'm sorry, I can't resist myself. I mean, how the freak that we get Braska right before Rikku? That is so unfair. But then again, any units before Rikku will just cause an uproar regardless. So we'll be seeing a new unit soon, Neon, I guess. So I don't know about Rikku and stuff, but I put up a post where I talk about what are the upcoming unit that you are looking forward to. And surprisingly, everyone actually still goes for tactics, which honestly I understand the frustration, but I can see Square Enix is not gonna add tactics character anytime soon. I don't know. I hope it does though. I really do hope it does. I mean, Bart needs this to actually come down. Otherwise, he'll cause an uproar every time a new character is released that is not tactics. I understand the frustration, and I really sincerely hope that tactics can be refeatured a new character someday to actually complete the roster alongside with Final Fantasy 1 as well, but let's just hope for the best. Anyway, look forward to Braska's showcase tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be uploading that as my first video, or maybe Crow's FR in my main first, I don't know. But I'll see you guys tomorrow then. Cheers, guys.